Welcome to Subramani. Today I'm going to talk about a word which is sati. Sati, I'm talking of a Pali word, and in Buddhism, Pali, in the language Pali, sati word means mindfulness. Don't confuse it for the Hindi word of a woman jumping into the fire or the husband. I'm talking of mindfulness. So why are we talking about mindfulness, and what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is something which is very difficult to define, but not very difficult to experience. Of course, if you talk to the others, somebody may be talking about vipassana. It again makes your mind calmer and makes you a better investor. So why are we talking about meditation and investing? Because there is a huge linkage. I'll come to that very quickly. But what is mindfulness? Mindfulness, I'll read from, Vipassana also talks about mindfulness. So mindfulness is a subtle process that you're using at this very moment, and the fact that this is a process lies above and beyond words does not make it unreal, quite the reverse. It is not shackled to logic. Mindfulness can be experienced rather easily rather than described. As long as you keep in mind that your fingers are only pointing to the moon and not the moon itself, you are experiencing mindfulness. That's all. This much of what is mindfulness is enough. So you can be mindful when you're exercising, you can be mindful when you're talking, you can be mindful when you're walking, you can be mindful when you're eating, right? At every point in time, like every morsel of food, you think, oh, this is good, I must thank my mother, wife, friend or cook, whoever has made the food, I must thank God for this. So you think being in the moment, what Swami Vivekananda calls concentration, right? Swami Vivekananda, I think, is one of the earliest proponents saying don't do multitasking. Multitasking doesn't happen well. When you're reversing your car, reverse your car. When you're speaking on the phone, speak on the phone. Many people think they can hold the phone like this and reverse, because reversing is something they've done for 30 years. That's not true. You get bang into something because your activity is not well thought about, not coordinated. You're thinking of so many other things. Then there is stress. So when we are talking of mindfulness, just being in the present and thinking what you're doing for every action that you take. When you're buying a share, when you're selling a share, when you're holding on to a share, you do it mindfully. Every morsel that you eat mindfully. When you're running, you know why you're running, how much you want to run. You just organize yourself and do it that way. That's all. So this is mindfulness. I think I've taken more time than what I wanted to. So that brings us to a question of how can you be mindful when you are investing? And when I'm talking of investing, I'm largely talking about direct equity investing, not just mutual fund investing. Mutual fund investing makes it a little easier and perhaps a little less lucrative, but that is something which we will discuss later on. So to know about mindfulness or to know about Vipassana, you don't have to become a Buddhist. You have to just understand that there are some aspects to the Buddhism philosophy which perhaps makes them a little more calmer. And they speak more about this. It's not that Hinduism doesn't have. Hinduism has. You have heard the Arjuna story of just concentrating, goal setting, right? So somewhat like this. So let us see some of the factors which go into what are the things which are necessary to better decision making on whether to buy also. So first of all, you look at the rationality of taking a decision on investing. So mindfulness is thinking clearly about why you are, what you're thinking about. So which means largely avoiding the momentum crowd of saying, oh, I think Bharti quarterly results are fantastic, I must go and buy it. But that's exactly the time when people who have already bought it are perhaps selling, right? So if the share price has moved up from 400 to 500, is 500 a good price to buy, or was 400 a good price to buy? fairly smart answer is obviously it is 400, but then whether you should buy, just hold on, maybe hold on for 2 days, 3 days, maybe you buy it at 510, but at least wait for the euphoria to go away. Avoiding the momentum is necessary. You have to be rational about what you are doing. Don't just go by hearsay and say, oh, pharma industry is doing well. I know people who are already getting out of pharma. I know people who think that the banking industry will not do well over the next 2-3 years, so let me not be in the banking industry. There are people who think in contrary, saying banking industry won't do well maybe over the next 2-3 years, so let me buy banking and wait, right? So do not accept just on hearsay, and also do not accept things by tradition. Oh, FMCG companies will always have 80 ka PE or 120 ka PE, right? No. Nestle's growth is 5 times faster than Colgate's growth. So obviously Nestle deserves a higher PE than Colgate. It's as simple as that, right? Do not accept just because somebody else is doing it. Don't buy ITC because somebody on Twitter told you that it's a great buy. Be meditative. Think about the process. You don't need to do anything stupid. Just remain calm. Some even feel that being meditative means avoiding logic. That's not true. You have to think about it logically, but you have to think about it calmly. I remember meeting a Supreme Court judge who told me that when Nani Palkhiwala used to argue, I am talking of meeting him in the 1980s, when Nani Palkhiwala argued, I would not take a decision on that for the next 3 days because he had a mesmerizing impact on me. Same thing, go and meet a management on a Monday and then don't take any action till Friday, because they would have mesmerized you. They would have given you the best food. They would have told you what a great company it is. They wouldn't have told you any of the bad things. So first collect all the bad things, do the research, find out 10 reasons why not to buy the share, or talk to the guys who sell the share short. You will get all the ammunition, then meet the management, and then after a week take a decision. It's a longish process, right? Being meditative means being in the process slightly longer. And then Buddha also talks about using direct experience while I'm going to translate that into saying how to use direct experience. Is there any empirical thing which you have seen that the company is or is not in that category? For example, in ESG investing, for many people, Reliance will not be there in ESG investing simply because they think it lacks governance. I would take a contrarian view, saying if the man really lacked governance, would he have gone and put people like Arundhati on his board? He would have thought 10 times over it, saying, why should I bring more eminent people and get into trouble, right? So, and in the MSCI ESG index, heavyweight is Reliance. So you can have a contrarian view, but is there any empirical evidence to prove that so and so is good and so is bad? For most of us, no. It is the media created image. We think MNC companies are good, Indian companies are bad, or so following companies are good. HDFC Limited is good, HDFC Bank is good, Reliance is not good. Not true. If you don't have any empirical evidence, stick to what you know. Stick to the fact that you invested in that company paid you dividend, this is what happened, and beyond that you don't understand. You're not sitting on the board, you're not running the company, you can't judge from outside what is happening. You do not know what options they had, you don't know what options they have exercised. So don't try judging a company from outside. That's also very difficult because you don't have any empirical evidence about them being good or bad. Then don't just guess. Know what you know yourself is far more important than what a research analyst tells you. Research analysts are under tremendous pressure to do what their peers are doing, and they want to keep comparing themselves with the peers. That doesn't stop. However, a fund manager is, he will constantly compare himself to the big people, and the big people themselves may be worried, saying, oh, these younger guys are performing, younger guys are performing better than better than what I am performing over a 5-year period. I'm seeing this guy from this fund house is performing better than what me and my team are performing. So maybe they are also insecure.